Take there by Hannes Strydom for South Africa. Well, Canada just bridging the offside line there right at the start of the match. One fancies that there'll be very, very close defensive tactics by Canada today, certainly if they're not getting the amount of ball that they wish.
Well, that was an ideal way to start for South Africa. They took the pressure, they took the sting. The kick-in shows, as we saw, a very clean take there by Hannes Strydom as the forwards pile in. Let's see if we can pick up. Well, the referee indicates that the little scrum half, John Graaf, was offsides.
South Africa have the advantage of the put-in from that penalty kick. Into the middle it goes. Well, there's a knock-on from South Africa, no advantage. That'll be Canada's ball. Let's just have a look how they stand up, the two teams, because South Africa are the heavier side, as we've mentioned. That's Reese's launch. Johnson's done well to get back quickly. That was good defensive work by Johnson, but a thumping tackle that from David Lougheed. Well, those are the sort of tactics that South Africa will be wanting to counter Canada with.
A very good take by Gavin Johnson there, but one would have hoped that Johan Roux would have got in a little closer and acted as a buffer and almost acted as a ripper.
Pagel, Dalton and Herter against Evans, Cardinal and Snow. Both teams just feeling each other out. Stockbroker Johan Roux, always seemingly so relaxed. That's a long throw in and South Africa have the advantage of the catch. Christian Scholz going in, and then the Canadians going over the top. Well, there'll be a little message to Al Charon. Well, Charon's not happy at all, and Dave McNew's done extremely well because he's actually told both sides through his actions thus far in the game that he's not taking any nonsense. Stransky, that's a delightful punt from the fly half.
Joel Stransky, if you remember, against Argentina last year, had an outstanding match at this ground, and he'll be looking to put in a really good match. Let's see if we can pick up here. The referee indicates that the Canadian forwards were coming over the top, and at that Al Sharon had something to say and was penalised accordingly.
Good tactic this for South Africa. Hannes Strydom at the back of the line out, and then Visser takes in the front. Penalised for lifting though. But the thinking was good from South Africa. They're mixing it up in the lineouts. There's a lack of predictability there, which is possibly just what's needed. That's Reese's kick. It'll drift inside. Back for Joubert. Now can he send this back with interest? A huge punt there from him. A great kick kept in by Graaf. That's Scott Stewart. Scott Stewart's been very impressive in Rugby World Cup. He's such a good runner with the ball, kicker, defender, catcher out of the air. Very talented.
What a fine kick that was from Andre Joubert off his left foot. He probably had a metre from the touchline. Very, very fine angle, and he's taken play with South Africa with the put-in into the Canadian territory.
Dalton, can he find his man? That's straight on, good jump, good throw in. Good momentum for South Africa. That's getting the maul going towards the Canadian line. Over elaboration is what is not needed, but while they can keep that momentum going, that's important. This is Roux's hoist. It hasn't gone deep enough. The kick was a little bit too defensive. Graaf. Christian Stewart. A little poke through, and this is Joubert. Joubert guilty there of not kicking the ball out because they can have a counter-attack now from Canada. It's a poor kick from the Canadians, but Richter makes a hash of it. Well, that's not a bad torpedo from Adrian Richter either.
South Africa certainly should have made more of a meal of that encounter in the Canadian 22. They had great support from their forwards. And Johan Roe's kick not going far enough to really put the pressure on the Canadian back line.
Well, that kick from Richter would have gladdened the hearts of Frick de Preer. To the back it goes. Was that in straight? Stransky scragged. Referee asking for release. Well, I come back for the scrum to South Africa. Ball not going in straight at the line out. It was a good adoption of advantage by Dave McHugh. Solidity in the South African scrum. Roux just putting his head in and getting the momentum going. That's a very tiring factor for any defensive side. Stransky's kick this time. David Lougheed was standing quite flat. The bounce was a little unkind to South Africa.
Gavin, that scrum just proving how important it is when you put the ball in to get the lean. And South Africa, as you saw, as they went down, they managed to just get that initial shove on the Canadians, and that resulting in 10 or 15 meters push from the big forward pack.
That's the Canadian bench. Just 2 backline players amongst the 6 players. That's big Hannes Strydom. He's done well. That's his 3rd catch in the match. Good clean ball for South Africa. Roux looking to the hoist this time. David Lougheed, he's dumped on this occasion, and that's Gavin Johnson, but they'll come back for a knock-on. Well, they packed in like sardines on that open stand, and they rose in unison as Gavin Johnson went through. Well, South Africa will want to keep this pressure on now. Scrum them hard. Keep pushing hard in the rucks and mauls and try and tire those forwards out. They've been pretty tireless thus far in the competition. And good pressure on Gareth Rees from 3 of these South Africans.
That's going to be an important factor this evening. The pressure that Stransky and from the back of the lineouts able to put pressure on Gareth Rees, and we might see him just start to crack a little bit under enormous pressure from Johan Roux from the base of the scrum as well.
In the middle of the line out is Glenn Ellis for Canada, but it's Hannes Strydom again. South Africa have done well in the lineouts. They've been organised. This is Stransky's drop goal. Is that straight? No. Deep kick in onto Andre Joubert. Joubert just probing down the touchline.
So good with those kicks is Andre Joubert. He has the ability to put the little chip over the top, and even more capable with the grubber along the ground.
Well, it's Mark Cardinal's turn now for Canada. Looking for Glenn Ennis and Al Chiron. Penalty, free kick going against Hannes Strydom. Drive in there by Colin McKenzie. He's a very physical man, is the 8th man for Canada. Sleight of hand there from Christian Stewart. South Africa, Canada not scared to look for the physical encounter. That was a good quick take by the scrum half, John Graff, the coffee merchant. Well, surprise tactics from Canada, just getting that thing moving well. John Graff, very much in Johan Roux fashion, taking quick kicks, and South Africa will need to guard against the element of surprise.
Well, that might be one of the things that Christian Stewart will have shared amongst his teammates, to catch the South Africans off guard. So often we see when a penalty is awarded, we turn our backs.
Well, Mark Cardinal is guilty there of going over that line. That's him in picture. Stransky calls for his men to go even further back. Pinpoint drop from him. Hannes Strydom can't take. Alcheron takes. The Canucks have been impressive and aggressive in these situations in the matches so far. Stransky finds the safety of the touchline. Well, there's no scoreline here at the Boet Erasmus, and South Africa have shown a lot of pressure in these opening 6 minutes of this match. Good clinical play from them on most occasions. Stransky, there's a late charge on him. It's Scott Stewart who's back there, and fine bounce for Scott Stewart.
Well, so far Joel Stransky has chosen the option to kick it deep into Canadian territory, but not kicking it close enough to the touchline, and that giving the Canadians a suitable angle to reply, and in that instance with a great deal of interest.
Robbie Brink at the back of the South African line out, but one. Behind him is Adrian Richter. That's Kobus Visser. Been a clear message from the South African camp. We've got to improve our line-out count, and so they've done it in this match. Well, James Dalton got sandwiched between the Canadians, and we were not allowing the ball to be released by the South African hooker. Andre Joubert's punt is safely into touch.
Well, the awarded penalty to South Africa, and James Dalton comes around, and it looks like big Colin McKenzie just falls over the wrong side of the ball here, and very difficult from a player's point of view to keep yourself out of those situations, because they sometimes happen not through any fault of your own.
Good work from Francois Pinault in the line-out. South Africa need to regroup a little bit quicker than that. The knock-on came there from Johan Roux, according to referee Dave McHugh from Ireland. John Graf tells his men to stand up. Certainly possession gone South Africa's way. Concern only there are no points on the board. But is the foundation being laid for a later onslaught on the Canucks? Rees, that's to Christian Stewart. Great running by him. That's superb play by the Canadians. Well, the referee indicating that ball went forward.
Well, psychologically, that'll be a great boost to Christian Stewart, playing against many people that he plays against in the Currie Cup system here in South Africa. And he proved there what an elusive centre he can be.
South Africa's close in defence under scrutiny. This time it comes out left foot to Joubert. So useful having a left footer in your side to give you further options. That was not a great kick by him. Certainly not by his own personal standards. The reply from Scott Stewart was safe enough. Alcheron, great servant of Canada, with Glenn Ennis today playing in his third Rugby World Cup. So far the lineouts have belonged to South Africa. South Africa as one man under that proverbial blanket. That is an excellent effort from them, and then the hoist again from Johan Roux doesn't go where he wants it to. South Africa have got to concentrate on tidying up, despite the fact that things are not going that well with those kicks. "14 minutes gone then, no scoreline here at the Boet Erasmus, no opportunities for either side." Graf runs wide. That's Gareth Rees. That's Robbie Brink. Plays for the Western Province in South Africa. Francois Pienaar in the front, captain of Transvaal and his country. Under Stratham, he's been so impressive in the lineouts in this match. Canadian players being warned by the referee to come in from behind the feet of the last man. That's another launch from Johan Roux. Well, you're not allowed to tackle the man when he's up in the air. South Africa very aggressive on that occasion.
Well, that was a better kick there by Johan Roux. He got the distance he required and also allowed the ball to come down just that metre outside the 22 and thus preventing the mark.
Well, Canada not scared to take South Africa on with the ball in hand. They did that well against Australia. But they're going to have to guard against going to ground too early. Tony, I spoke about it and a little bit earlier on, and that is something they need to guard against because they are going to ground early. They know the referee's interpretations. He's blown them for the third time, and the first chance for Stransky.
Well, there's no doubt that the laws favour staying on your feet, and we see there as the big Canadian forwards go to ground, and far too many of them over eagerly, just going over the top, being penalised accordingly.
Plenty of local support for South Africa. .22 points in Rugby World Cup 95, of course. He's kicked well, has Joel Stransky. This one, is it going to make it? Yes, he's got it.
And Joel Stransky certainly hitting that one so sweetly over the crossbar. And as we said earlier, nice to know that in reserve we have a man like Gavin Johnson, who certainly has proved his worth as a kicker.
Well, Tony, there's some discussion with referee Dave McHugh and Gavin Johnson in picture there, and Gavin Johnson seemingly not very happy. One wonders just what his problem is. South African medical doctor, Frans Verster. But it looks as if Johnson is going to leave the field, and we'll have to see whether or not this is permanent. Joost van der Westhuizen is the man to probably replace the South African wing, if in fact he stays off. At the moment, Adrian Richter's gone out onto the right wing. Johan Roux finds Pienaar and then Richter.
Interesting option from South Africa there. They chose to run the blind side, knowing full well that they didn't have a winger, and instead found the big eighth man there in Adrian Richter, who put a foot out into touch.
Well, it looks fairly clear-cut that Joost van der Westhuizen is then going to replace Gavin Johnson for an injury that we're unsure of at the moment. Very popular man is Joost van der Westhuizen.
Joost van der Westhuizen in the past has played on the wing for South Africa when he came on as a replacement, my memory serves me correct, against England.
Well, he's a wonderful ball player, is the scrum half. Very committed man. Mark Cardinal will try and find some line-out ball for his country. There's been a dearth of it. Charon in the front, that's better ball, good pass from Graf, and then once the Steve Gray comes through, South Africa not tackling in the midfield. Another chance for them. Eddie Evans goes through, he's their most experienced player, but here's a real chance for South Africa. That's great running by Roux, Not too many options for him, and then the little kick through. Well, I think Johan Roux will be forgiven because he didn't really have a clear pass to any of his men.
Well, he had very little other options on hand there, and certainly the Canadians in defence just getting amongst the Springboks as they take a quick throw in here deep into their own 22.
Good thinking by Canada, and then the switch from them. Well, they're not shy to try and create some opportunities under their own poles, but this is often what comes from it. Can South Africa make something of this? Here's a real chance for them. That is a great tackle there on Joel Stransky. One fancies it was David Lougheed. Literally swamped Joel Stransky.
David Lougheed as well, when we saw them play against Australia last week, proved that he's an outstanding tackler. And if I remember, he took out David Campese quite neatly as well.
Canada want a short line out, and to the back it goes. They're also mixing up their line outs. Well, they'll need to, because they've shown no strength in it in this particular match. That's Gareth Rees.
Well, Joel Stransky gets the ball and sees the line, and just look at that tackle from David Lougheed. Really outstanding, smothering the ball and the tackler at the same time.
Cobus Visser in the front, he's the catcher. Almost like clockwork, South Africa get the motion of the ball moving forward. That's forward for them, of course. Marius Herter comes flying off the side. Well, South Africa didn't control that ball well, and they need to be a little careful, Tony, with over-elaboration when they are driving through in those mauls.
Yes, indeed, but I do think the referee needs to keep a closer look on the maul there. The Canadian players, and particularly Big Al Sharon, are guilty of just collapsing the maul, and we know that the rule says that if you do in fact collapse a moving maul, penalty goes against you.
John Graf, Canadian scrum standing steady despite being outweighed. It's all defence for Canada at the moment. That's the Canadian bench once again. Pensive mood of the men there. Ron Toes, Alan Tynan, John Hutchinson. South Africa's success in the line-out will be heartening to the locals. Robbie Brink. That's Hannes Strydom again. Catch number 6 for him. Cobus Visser always gets so central to those driving mauls. I'll tell you, that was what you were talking about, and the referee is keeping an eye on it. He blew them up very early in the match for those transgressions, and a chance now for Stransky.
Well, that was some fine driving play by Cobus Visser there, but South Africa will need to take a leaf out of the All Blacks book at the moment, in their cleaning up and mopping up of the people standing around and just getting hands in. Let's see if we can pick it up here as Cobus Visser goes to ground. The Canadian forwards quite clearly on the wrong side of the ball, but South Africa not taking enough men out quickly.
That's the angle that Joel Stransky has. No legs. That's not going to go the distance, although it's straight. Graf looks for Rees. Canada looking to open up. Winston Stanley. Little pass on the inside to Christian Stewart. Well, this was an area of the game against Australia where Canada were impressive. Mark Cardinal with a quick one. Almost caught his own players unawares. Ian Gordon driving down the middle. South Africa want to close them down. Rees finding Andre Joubert well positioned. It's a lovely punt from Andre Joubert. What a great kick.
Well, a lovely reply from Andre Joubert there as he sent that kick fully 50 metres down into Canadian territory. And that's the obvious game plan from the Springboks, is to play in the opposition 22.
24 minutes gone, 3-0 South Africa lead, one solitary Stransky penalty. That's Rod Snow. Big Rod Snow scored the first try of Rugby World Cup 95. We have news that Gavin Johnson, who left the field, is losing focus in his right eye. He's left the field as a precautionary measure, and those of you that have perhaps tuned in late, well, I'm sure there's not too many of you, the Joost van der Westhuizen has replaced Gavin Johnson on the right wing. Van der Westhuizen, of course, is a scrum half, but a good versatile player. Mistakes being made by Canada, as evident from those statistics. Well, Canada have been penalised for collapsing that scrum, and there was good impetus from the back because South Africa were keen to get Johan Roux and another party in there just to get them shoving towards the Canadian line. But it's always the team defending that collapses all normally, Tony.
Well, normally it is so, and we see that South Africa have opted for another scrum. In my opinion, probably the best option. They've proved that their pack is a powerhouse this evening as Johan Roux gets in and lends his support.
Well, that's positive for South Africa, and they will score. That's a great effort from South Africa. The try has gone to Adrian Richter. Well, that's his third try in Rugby World Cup 95. And that's really perhaps broken the back for South Africa. They really needed to get that try, Tony, and it's been long coming.
Well, that'll do the South African forwards a great deal of good. Their mental and psychological approach to this match will obviously change now, knowing that they have the upper hand. And even Joost van der Westhuizen comes in, offers his support, but it's not required. Adrian Richter makes the try that much easier.
Well, we have the right angle for Stransky's conversion. Will be the easiest kick he's had tonight. That's a bitter strike from Stransky. Well, it's just what a difference a try makes to your scoreline. 10 points South Africa have now, and it came from that terrific shove. South Africa choosing the option of another scrum instead of a penalty. Richter picks up, bang, through he goes. Reese's start is farmed to South Africa's side. Roux, that's a huge long punt from Johan Roux. All things are going South Africa's way at the moment. Awful hash up there from David Lougheed. Well, is this a chance for South Africa? Scott Stewart kicks it virtually out of Brendan Fenter's hands.
There almost seems to be a magnet on that far side there, as every ball kick there seems to favour the touchline, and that one almost finding the touch that Johan Roux was seeking.
Can South Africa exert the same scrum pressure on Canada? There it comes. Pick up coming from Canada's side. They've recovered well. Good work there by their loose forwards, Gordon, McKinnon and McKenzie. Well, South Africa have the advantage of this throw-in now. And well, the referee is a little unhappy with James Dalton, one fancies, Tony.
Well, in fact, James Dalton just chose to stand on big Gordon McKinnon's hand there purposefully. That's really a lack of discipline from the player, who really has changed his ways on the field. We've seen him in the past being responsible for a number of penalties, but he'll be ruining that one.
Well, both teams need to remain focused in the event of victory. He has a good chance for South Africa. That ball is just kicked away there by Colin McKenzie, and well, it was rather silly of James Dalton to throw away the opportunity for South Africa. Robbie Brink, who came storming through from that long throw-in. relishing the opportunity at a tender age to represent his country. Graf for the pick-up, little flick pass, that was rather neat from the scrum half. Very difficult for Canada. Scott Stewart came into the line, but unless you're playing on the other side of the advantage line, it's not easy to bridge that gap. Kenzie holds. Slide pass by Christian Stewart. He's dumped by Brendan Venter. Now this is Christian Scholz. Oh, it pops out on Canada's side. Well, a little control there from South Africa, but they're going to come back for a scrum, and it was good play of advantage by referee McHugh.
Well, Christian Scholz pounced on that opportunity with both hands, and unlucky not to get in for a try there under the poles, as Rene du Plessis in picture there, and we see a number of the dignitaries and Kitch Christie himself looking favourably on his team.
South Africa have controlled these scrums so well on their own ball. It's always said that their own ball tonight will not be negotiable, and it hasn't been thus far. Dalton. Good play by South Africa. Stransky was possibly looking to drop, and then he comes back inside. That's good running by Joel Stransky. Excellent play by him then. Visser. Almost like a tank. Cobus Visser. Well, South Africa right on the Canadian line. Canadians penalised for pulling that or holding on to the ball on the ground. Colin McKenzie possibly the culprit. Once again, South Africa choosing to go the route of the scrum rather than the penalty.
Well, they know that they can do it. They've done it already, and will it be 2 pushover tries for South Africa tonight?
Colin McKenzie at the back, just doing his best to keep that scrum steady. That's Joel Stransky coming in. Richter, Robbie Brink with a pickup. Made good ground there to Robbie Brink. Well, the pressure continues.
Well, Robbie Brink certainly having an outstanding game so far tonight. He's getting involved in all facets of the match, and certainly one to watch for the future in terms of South Africa's international rugby.
8 minutes left in the first half. South Africa lead by 10 points to 0. Can they get this to 15? A little bit of unhappiness in the front row. Both sides maybe just getting a little bit agitated. South Africa will want to keep their cool in such an attacking position. Good shot from them again. Is their momentum going? That's a fantastic shot. That's another try to Adrian Richter.
Well, try number 4 in the Rugby World Cup 95 for Adrian Richter. And what a player he's proving to be. He's certainly making a strong claim for a position in the green side. And when you've got a pack of forwards like that, everyone doing their job, very difficult not to score at the back of the scrum, Gavin.
Pleasure for Joel Stransky. He's in quite close. 15 points without reply. Will it be 17? Up there with the 75%ers is Joel Stransky. That's a good kick from him. The conversion of both tries of Adrian Richter.
And here again we see that outstanding scrum from the South African pack. They get the momentum going, and Adrian Richter has little to do but fall on it with the attention of Johan Roux.
Can Gareth Rees marshal those troops of his, get them back into action? 17 points is a big margin to make. South Africa towering above Canada in the line-outs. In fact, all the phases of the game at the moment. Just 4 minutes left to half-time. Sloppy play from both sides. Referee allows advantage well. Canada will take possession. Good running from David Lougheed on the outside. But South Africa come with a counter-attack. Somebody needs to straighten that line. They do it well. Peter Hendricks, first touch for him. Once again, good possession for South Africa. Yes, Van der Westhuizen. It's a long haul that for Colin McKenzie. Keeps it in field as Colin McKenzie. Well, the Canadians have certainly tried their luck in keeping the ball available inside their own 22, but South Africa were in offsides position.
Well, quite clearly the Canadians in all sorts of trouble, and to their credit, their forwards managed to get back quickly and add support to that situation, and in the end South Africa conceding the penalty. There we see the territory statistics, possession and territory being dominated totally by the Springboks.
The scoreline looks a bit better. It goes better with those statistics than it did in the first 10 minutes. Good running by Graaf, and then running off the ball from Ian Gordon. That's Rod Snow with a pickup. Francois Pienaar comes away with it. Once again, South Africa do well. Peter Hendricks. Well, South Africa perhaps just not finding the right impetus in amongst the backs there, and the line maybe not get straightened early enough because they've come in numbers at the back.
Well, they've had some very fine opportunities to run at the opposition of South Africa, but Peter Hendricks just caught here by the cover defence, and he'll be asking his players inside of him, straighten up the back line, get someone to come through and give me a clear run.
Charon with a jump in the front, good catch by him. Canada showing South Africa that they're also able to get those mauls driving. On the short side is Ian Gordon. Good defensive work by South Africa. Will it be tested on this occasion? Steve Gray, and now to David Lougheed. Also a good tackle from Brendan Venter. Outstanding tackler is Brendan Venter. South Africa with a couple of long passes. Well, this could be an opportunity created here. Has Richter got the legs? He's certainly got the nerve and the strength, but that was a great cover tackle. Super cover tackle that from Christian Stewart.
Just as we were saying there, give Peter Hendricks an open try line. Where was he? And big eighth man Adrian Richter, who's had a busy evening thus far, caught out there on the left wing.
Pleasing scrum for Canada. We've reached the right platform.
Canada will certainly be feeling the pinch right now. They came out all fired up. And let's look at that tackle again. Christian Stewart puts in a fine tackle there, and there'll be no love lost on this occasion, I'm sure.
4 men in the line out, clean and quick from Visser, and then the switch to Pienaar. South Africa getting over the advantage zone, which is important on that occasion. Well, quick throw in from Canada, caught almost everybody unawares. Scott Stewart. What a niggling from both teams. One must mention, Tony, lots of pulling and pushing, but it's a needle game out there.
Well, there's a great deal at stake. There's a place in the Rugby World Cup quarterfinals, and it's up for grabs.
Well, Canada running from under their own posts. they've decided that they need to throw caution to the wind if they want to challenge South Africa tonight. Graf keeping it in field. It's a good kick from him. Long kick through from Christian Stewart. Now it's him and Brendan Venter in this race. Venter does well. Up he gets. That was good interplay by South Africa. And credit to Joost van der Westhuizen for some wonderful thinking.
Well, full credit there to South Africa for recovering what almost looked like a try-scoring opportunity, but the Canadians are willing to take every opportunity, running from deep in their own 22, and well done to them.
Well, out of picture, the touch judge on the far side, Steve Lander from England, has got his flag up and he's having a little word with the referee. That was Brendan Venter going down, and then the clean-up from Joost van der Westhuizen. But prior to that, there seemed to have been some other problem, and we'll hear it from the referee. He's calling over Brendan Venter. Oh, in fact, it's Christian Scholz who'll come across. Well, Canada have a choice now of a line out, roughly where the opposite where they're standing now, or back to the 22 for a penalty. So they'll take the line out, and Francois Pienaar just clarifying the message given to Christian Scholz by the referee. Canada choose 4 in the line out. That is their option. South Africa with their big men in as well. It's a good clean-up by Canada. Then Graf's pass goes astray. Good pick-up by Steve Gray. There's been good defensive pressure by South Africa. Other side the advantage line. A couple of the big men just go flying into the Canadians. Eddie Evans with some support. Mark Cardinal. Graf often looks for the short side. Ian Gordon, and that's Gordon McKinnon. Good running by Gordon McKinnon. He's quite an athlete, is Gordon McKinnon. Mackenzie, Graf again. Can they stretch it wide enough? They're not interested in that. It's the short side that they want to go. South Africa absorbing pressure well from a defensive point of view. One of the few occasions that Canada have got in close. Graf and then Christian Stewart. Stewart can't get his pass out, but he's also not brought down by the South Africans. Graf. Back it comes to Rod Snow. This is a good period of play for Canada. Graf looking again for the short side.
Well, an outstanding period of play there coming from Canada. They really threw everything at the Springboks, and in the end really should have scored a try there. They had all the different options opening up to them, and at that the ball just being prevented from coming out, and subsequently the scrum awarded their way.
Well, this is need to be a show of mettle for Canada. They're under pressure in the scrum. Good support play for his scrum half from Ian Gordon. Pick up and then the run through from Mark Cardinal, but they can't take the pass. Well, there was a knock on there, but that is the half-time whistle then with Stransky's start. That's James Dalton in the thick of things. Johanru, that's a better hoist from him. He's got more distance with that one. Scott Stewart takes beautifully. South Africa have been penalised, and one fancies, Tony, that might have been for a tackle on Scott Stewart in mid-air.
Well, so often today when that up and under does go up and the full-back's underneath it, there is going to be a resultant penalty, and that Scott Stewart is still down on the ground, and he received a pretty hard tackle, that one. Let's see if we can pick it up here. He goes up well in the air, and it's Robbie Brink who just makes a colliding crash with him, and the referee penalizes him for doing so.
Those are such dangerous situations. Gareth Rees, the Canadian captain, indicating to the referee that one of the South Africans slung him, but I think we saw fairly clearly there that Robbie Brink came through, and there was no malice intended. But those are the dangers when you go up for those high hoists from the back.
Well, Gareth Rees was having some very firm words with the referee there, and he must remember that it's a game of rugby out there, and both sides need to take their opportunities accordingly. And that time Robbie Brink was certainly making no intent to do bodily harm to his opposite man, Scott Stewart.
Well, if Scott Stewart leaves this field, and it looks like he's not going to, they've just got the two replacement backs in Ron Toes and Alan Tynan. Toes is a wing and centre, and Tynan the reserve scrum half, so they would have been hard pressed. Rees looking for the hoist. Well, that's a brave kick under his own poles. Back for it, Brendan Fenter, and then Visser takes from an offside position. There's a lot of niggling and pushing in this game, and I think both sides will do well. In fact, South Africa and Gareth Rees, Francois Pienaar-Rees, to talk to their men and concentrate on the ball. Good running by Canada. Scott Stewart back in action again.
Well, this game possibly at the boiling point right now. Both sides, as you said, niggling after tackle, the whistle, the blowing, all that kind of quick action happening out there on the field. But Canada throwing everything they can at the Springboks right now. They need a score. They need to put points on the board. And certainly from the lineouts, it doesn't seem that they're winning ample possession to be able to do so.
South Africa's ball in the lineouts is not negotiable. In fact, in all phases of the game, they've done so well with it in this match. First half they controlled well. They got these mauls from the line out driving forward, and the only thing they guard against is over-elaboration. Hanru looking to platform South Africa. That's a great kick from him. Quick throw in from David Lougheed. Canada in all sorts of trouble. That's Winston Stanley. Well, Canada have decided, one fancies, some 10 minutes before the end of the first half, that they were going to throw caution to the wind, it being the only chance of them taking on that South African scoreline.
Well, some very good closing the gate there by the South African backline. Andre Joubert quickly up there to smother any attempt by Scott Stewart to clear the ball.
South Africa will be hoping that it's only the goalpost that'll get in the way of a 9 or 10 man scrum. Is Rue going to put his head in? Good control. Is this another chance for Adrian Richter? Pick up by South Africa. Well, that'll be scrum attacker's ball, which is South Africa. I wouldn't like to be in that Canadian front row right now with that South African pack operating so well as a unit. They'd want to keep that scrum straight. Richter. Is Richter going to get over? No.
Well, the referee will know that South Africa are dominating these scrums on the Canadian line, and Canada will have to watch here because they don't want to concede a penalty try under the poles.
Well, Canada on this occasion, that looks like they've taken a heel against the head. South Africa a little slack on that occasion. Canada really looking to keep the ball in play, Tony, because even in their 22, we've seen a couple of tactical kicks towards some of the other players.
As we said earlier, Gareth Rees has obviously said to his players, we're here to win at all costs, run from every opportunity, and in those circumstances, unless you have numbers in support, you're throwing yourselves into a lot of problems.
7 great catches in this match for Hannes Strydom. Been a tower of strength. South Africa looking to tap there, the ball going a little wide, and Ian Gordon One of Canada's better forwards today as Ian Gordon. Once again, the run through on the inside by Steve Gray for Canada. South Africa will want to tackle Canada other side the advantage line and stop the momentum of their runs. We'll remember these against Australia. A little flip pass on the inside, good running by Christian Stewart. But it's Cobus Visser that comes away with it. Oh, once again popping out on the Canadian side, but the referee has told Canada on many occasions to not play the ball on the ground.
Well, ill discipline there from Canada. They worked so hard, almost up to the Springbok halfway line. Well, field halfway line, I should say. But with that, Andre Jabber's attempt at finding touch has not done so.
Well, the messages are very clear from the players, but referee McHugh doesn't want any players around while he talks to the two parties. One with 8 on his back, one with 18. And the penalty is going to go against Canada. The message will be very clear to Colin McKenzie, who started the action. Joost van der Westhuizen is happy with that fact. Now, what does South Africa do now, Tony? Logically, they kick for goal, and that message has already been given.
Well, Gavin, should they have elected the scrum, it would have been the longest pushover try, I'm sure, from almost 20-odd metres. And let's just pick up here the action between Joost van der Westhuizen and Colin McKenzie. Colin McKenzie really getting riled up about that little incident. And in the end, the referee secures both arms firmly around him. Says we'll have none of that.
That's a lovely record for Giles Stransky. Up there with the 75 percenters. That's where he's got to be as South Africa's premier goal kicker. 17-0 becomes 20.
And that the obvious right decision for South Africa to keep chiseling on the scoreboard, keep the points rolling, and indeed take the wind out of the Canadian sails.
Gareth Rees looking for a quick restart. That ball's gone, in fact, looks like it's gone over the touchline, so they'll come back. Now South Africa have an option of a short throw. Well, that was good thinking by Peter Hendricks. South Africa looks so alive today.
Well, in terms of the scrumming, they've proved themselves, and when it's Canada's put in, South Africa have the advantage of their loose forwards able to stand off because their tight five are holding them considerably.
Stransky, that's a better punt from him. David Lougheed, well, that's a really kind bounce. Lougheed, not too much room to move in for David Lougheed. Had few opportunities to show his paces tonight. Most of his attempts have been from a defensive position.
Well, the condition of David Lougheed's shirt tells a story. He's been in the thick of things with some outstanding cover defence tackles.
Those results are thanks to that man, Cobus Visser, and that other man taking the ball from him, Hannes Strydom. Pienaar drives on. Quick pass on the outside. Now he has a chance for South Africa. Brendan Venter through. Can they take that ball? Well, Andre Joubert might well have been able to leave that ball for Peter Hendricks, but took the right option. Perhaps the pass at the time, it was the right option. Felt the pass was for him, but that was a sniping break from Brendan Venter.
Well, that was a beautiful break from Brendan Venter there. Just look how he sticks his ears back, looks for the long pass. There's no one running off his shoulder, and let me tell you, if anyone was going to make that catch, Andre Joubert would have done so. He has a fine pair of hands on him.
Graf and Gareth Rees under all sorts of pressure. It's so nice to see Brendan Venter sniping his way through gaps. We haven't seen enough of it in recent seasons. So aggressive when he goes and breaks the line. South Africa's advantage of the throw-in. James Dalton asks for the towel, so there's a little bit of dew out there, one fancies. Wonderful jump that from Hannes Strydom, but unfortunately he was aided. Canada looking to run it. This is Eddie Evans. He's the most experienced forward in the Canadian side. Peter Hendricks comes away with it. Straight onto the boot. Wonders if he could have just looked for some support. Oh, that's a quick tap taken by Canada. South Africa were caught unawares on that occasion. Back foot Joubert. Just always seems to have so much time, does Andre Joubert. Lovely footballer.
Andre Joubert adopting the safety first attitude. He wants to play in the Canadian half of the field. And really has had an outstanding game this evening as Andre Joubert.
It was Henny LaRue on the South African bench. Glenn Ennis and Al Charon. Well, that's 2 in a row, lads, is the message from Dave McHugh. This is not happy with it, is Hannes Strydom. Carbon copy for Canada as Eddie Evans charges in. Physical encounter coming from Canada. They really are a tough side. Well, South Africa hindering that ball coming out. The referee gave them the option. He told them to let it come out. Once again, the quick ball, and through the middle comes Scott Stewart. South Africa defending really well. Just watch how well, once again, they stop Canada, other side the advantage line. Once again, reasonable possession for Canada, but seemingly no way through the greens. Well, South Africa were in an offside position, and here's the quick take again from John Graf. Christian Stewart comes flying through. They say that sides can only absorb defensive pressure for so long, but South Africa have done this well. Graf looking to run through Stransky.
Well, Graf there almost looked guilty of trying to elbow. In fact, it was Rees who tried to elbow Joel Stransky as he went in for that tackle. But the Canadians really throwing everything at South Africa right now, and full credit to the South African defence. They've stood up to it. And they proved that they can tackle equally as well as the opposition.
Johan Roos kicking today after a slowish start with some of those up and unders. He's come into his own.
Ball's right on the mark, right where you are.
Tap coming from Canada, just a little bit of football from them, which works rather well. Well, some solid running from, once again, from Gordon McKinnon.
Well, on that occasion, some sloppy tackling from the South Africans there. Adrian Rufter couldn't make the tackle, and Joel Stransky was left grabbing for a jersey. And they'll need to make those first-time tackles count.
That's the man, Richter. Double try scorer, and Canada come away with it. Good running from Ian Gordon. He's almost up to the line. Now what does Graf do? Back it comes. That's Colin McKenzie. South Africa have tackled so well, but right up on the line are Canada. Oh, Mark Cardinal's jersey virtually got pulled off there by a stray jersey, stray hand. And then it pops out. McKenzie That's Mackenzie's face, that's John Graff, and then the drive-in coming once again. South Africa have made some telling tackles in the last 5 minutes. Can it continue? Can it continue? This time it's James Dalton. Well, South Africa have blown up for being offsides, which is almost inevitable in that type of situation. What do Canada do? Touch kick. Eddie Evans again. Graff on the outside. That's David Lougheed. Well, we've got to give credit to South Africa for some great defence.
Well, indeed, they've tackled their hearts out on their line there, but Canada's ball retention skills are really fantastic. They've gone in full 8 men and the ball keeps popping back and there's always a man in support. So with this kind of pressure, they're definitely looking for a try.
Well, Canada seemingly will not be able to push South Africa, so they choose to pick up quickly. There's too many upright men there in the Canadian side. I want to get the momentum going. Mark Cardinal just showing his blue undershirt. And then a swinging punch there from one of the Canadians. Pass out there to Gareth Rees. Well, Marius Hurt and Eddie Evans are having a swing at each other. Back they come again to Canada. Would there not be any wisdom in them? Maybe trying to find greater gaps further out. Ian Gordon. Graff, long pass out. Christian Stewart comes back in field. Francois Pienaar comes flying through. Well, this is quite an incredible period of play. Rod Snow out to Al-Chiron. Mark Cardinal, Snow again. Snow onto Ian Gordon. Can they push him over the line? Well, the touch judge's flag was up and there's bodies strewn all over the place under the South African poles.
Well, this is really an exciting period of play there. We're seeing some tackles made from just about every corner of the field here, and South African player Joel Stransky just down, receiving some attention, and he put a fine tackle in on Christian Stewart as he made his attempt at the line. And just look at Rod Snow there, big powerful man, young prop, got lots of men in support. Energy sapping stuff this for a forward as they drive for the line. Gareth Rees in there, and in the end it's going to be a line out.
Well, Tony, this is exactly what South Africa did not want, and that was injuries. Johnson has already left the field. That was Stransky there, involved in players running and jumping through there. One fancies he might have got a kick to the head.
Well, the players will be enjoying this moment to take a breather. As we see Joel Stransky, he's obviously taken a crack there, as you can see, marked just below the left eye. And he's indicating that he's in a little bit of distress, is Joel Stransky.
Well, one of the Canadians are down too, and we're not able to pick up who it is. Can't quite pick up who the Canadian is that's down on the ground, and he too is not looking very happy. That's John Hutchinson warming up, flank forward. Well, Stransky is going to leave the field, and there seems to be some wisdom in that. Henny LaRue will take his place. It might be temporary, but one fancies that South Africa don't want to risk any further injuries to their premier fly half, and LaRue will probably enjoy the opportunity to stretch his legs.
Well, Henny LaRue is an outstanding tackler also at fly half, and his tackling ability, I'm sure, will be welcomed by the Springboks. And let's see if we can pick up there. Joel Stransky, you can see, just catches the elbow almost, straight on the cheek there, and goes down like a sack of potatoes.
Well, that's Big Glenn Ennis, who was down there in distress, and starting a little chat to Gareth Rees, his captain. There'll be some concern from Gareth Rees as well that if Glenn Innes is not comfortable, it would be wise to leave the field. Well, he's a big, brave man, is Glenn Innes. Survivor of 3 Rugby World Cups. Well, the courage of the Canadians need not be denied. They've shown terrific courage tonight with a minimal supply of ball. Throw in this close to the line is a true test of a hooker's abilities to throw with pinpoint accuracy. Will it go to the front with Visser? It's a good catch from Cobus Visser. Back to Andre Joubert, and that's the benefits of having a left footer. So composed is Andre Joubert.
Well, he almost made oodles of time there as he prepared himself for that kick. And really James Dalton finding Cobus Visser with ease this evening, and that'll be very encouraging.
Canada jumping in the middle. They also mixing it up a little bit in terms of short lineouts. Pass on to Christian Stewart. Really been the playmaker for Canada on the few opportunities that they've had. Henny LaRue's punt downfield gives South Africa some sort of distance, if not accuracy. Robbie Brink. Richter running off at pace. Pienaar with a pickup. That's good play by South Africa. They've cleaned up so well. LaRue's big up and under. Once again, Scott Stewart goes up for it. Good play that by Scott Stewart. Canada, not too much that Winston Stanley could do. He certainly had a quiet game today, Tony.
Well, he has. They haven't had much possession to shovel out wide this evening, have Canada, and have tended to take the ball on with their forwards close to the fringes. And so far haven't had much success, although they have threatened for the last 5 odd minutes the South African try line.
A greater percentage of territorial advantage in the second half for Canada. They haven't really turned that into much, and South Africa defended well on the goal line for a period of about 5 minutes. This is the run from Canada, David Lowy. Some good support play by the Canadians. They're not giving up. Scott Stewart. Rees on the inside to Ian Gordon. Gordon's really been the playmaker in respect of running off the ball. Christian Stewart, not too much room through there. No love lost between him and Brendan Fenter. Well, one fancies that Canada could just have maybe had a look up. There was another option for them. There was plenty of space behind the South African forwards. But they're looking to keep the ball in hand. John Graf, lovely ball players, John Graf and then Colin McKenzie. Now Winston Stanley gets his chance. Been well shadowed by Peter Hendricks. That's Rod Snow. Ball for Canada, and they make something of this. Scott Stewart back inside to Christian Stewart. Enormous amount of talking from the referee.
Well, the South Africans are doing well in defence here, and Canada really are throwing everything at them. But as you said earlier, Gavin, they tend to go to ground too easily. And in terms of a defensive side, it's very easy to defend against that. You only need 1 or 2 men to join that ruck, and the rest can fan out and act as blockers for the runoff coming from the Canadian forwards.
Well, Colin McKenzie and Francois Pienaar in some sort of distress. That's John Hutchinson, man we saw a little bit earlier. Primarily a flanker is John Hutchinson. He was warming up just now when Glenn Innes, the lock, was not feeling very happy, and One fancies that Glenn Ennis is going to leave the field. Pienaar's back on his feet. So is Mackenzie. But Ennis is going to be replaced by John Hutchinson. And that'll be the end of the Rugby World Cup in South Africa for Glenn Ennis. Graf, as usual, with a good feed to Gareth Rees, but South Africa take well. That's Christian Scholz. Well, Peter Hendricks was in front of the kicker on that occasion, because without that, one fancies with the pace of the man and a kind bounce, he would have scored.
Well, a hairline decision there made by the referee there. He ruled that Peter Hendricks was ahead of the kicker. And
just a reminder to ETV viewers that because of the delayed start to this rugby match between South Africa and Canada, ETV programs are running about 20 minutes late this morning.
In fact, it's Christian Scholz. And in fact, I tend to think that the referee made a poor decision there.
Kick from Johan Roux, well taken by David Lougheed. Some surprising passes there. Seemingly no way through the South African defence.
It almost seemed that they have a pact amongst them this evening, Gavin, that Canada are not going to score. And we've agreed on that.
Well, that's just about 12 minutes left then. South Africa lead Canada by 20 points to 0. Hunter Strydom, marvellous jumping by the Springbok lock tonight. Yanru once again getting good ball and just a little tip kick over the top. Canadian bench. Well, Eddie Evans will know he's been in a match and a game of rugby tonight. Just not giving up, is he, as Mark Cardinal finds his line-out jumper. South Africa just not letting up and getting the push going back the Canadian direction. Christian Stewart. That was good play by Canada. They slipped the passes through under South Africa. Rees is held up, and now John Graf. A really active scrum half, and despite being a little man, charge on the inside by Ian Gordon. Canadians tramping all over the men close to the ball. Rod Snow does well to keep it in field. Great pick-up by the Canadians. Well, that was a good period of play for them, because they must be getting quite frustrated by the fact that they're not able to bridge the South African defence. Well,
some very good play from Canada there, and the skills of the man picking up the ball there, as we saw that big Rod Snow making a charge down the left-hand touchline. Really good to see that forwards and backs combining so well. What will we see from Johan Roux? Will it be a launch down the line? Just in fact a little tap kick. This is Henny LaRue. Not a kind bounce for him. The counter-attack coming from John Graf and Ian Gordon. He's been very evident as he slung to the turf. Al Turon. Canadians have numbers on the outside. Now can they make something of this? Christian Stewart looking for the switch, and then the dummy pass. Joubert on the tackle, and that was Winston Stanley. Well, that's unnecessary, one feels, from Winston Stanley initially. There was very little animosity shown by South Africa on that occasion, and Winston Stanley has started something which should never have happened. South Africa don't need anybody sent off the field right now, Tony, and the players will just have to try and get their men back. Francois Pienaar needs to talk sternly to them.
Well, those were ugly scenes from a match that has really been entertaining and produced some lovely rugby, and the
the Canadians certainly not holding their heads. It was Scott Stewart who joined that little fracas between Peter Hendricks and David Lahid over there. In fact, Winston Stanley. The referee will need to make some very clever decisions here.
Well, one hopes that the decision that is taken is a logical one from the touch judge who is now talking to the referee. He was right on the spot. That's Hannes Strydom with the bloodied eye. Tony, we'll pick this up from the slow-mo.
Well, Peter Hendricks doesn't make any attempt at all to impede Winston Stanley, and Winston Stanley takes it upon himself, and Scott Stewart joins the fracas, and well, then it's anyone's guess.
Well, that was totally unnecessary and very sad as Hannes Strydom in fact leaves the field. Well, this is a very sad occasion for both teams here because the referee is sending off James Dalton, Gareth Rees and Rod Snow. One fancies all three of them off the field. And this is a tragic set of circumstances because I'm not entirely convinced that those were the guilty parties initially.
Well, I've got to agree with you, Gavin. I don't think they were guilty at all, and the referee under these circumstances must know that he's made the correct decision.
Well, that I'm not entirely convinced of. That's James Dalton in picture. In the interim, it seems like Prano Otto has come on the field as a replacement for Hannes Strydom. So what's really looked like a merry march for South Africa is turning into quite a dismal, the picture is looking rather dismal. That's Rod Snow. Andre Joubert searching for the touchline. Well, we've still got 8 minutes of this match left. Seemingly South Africa have it pretty well under their belt. That's Gareth Rees.
Well, Gavin, one cannot help but feel sorry for young James Dalton there. He's obviously wanted to be a part of South Africa's further interest in the World Cup, and in terms of the laws, it doesn't look like he's going to be playing too much more of a role in the South African efforts. Sad occasion for him.
Well, the match continues. That's Colin McKenzie at the back. In fact, it wasn't Colin McKenzie, it was replacement John Hutchinson. And that's Chris Rousseau warming up on the side.
Well, the referee certainly must be asking himself, do I need a front row hook on? We have to have a specialist forward in the front row, and that may be the reason why Chris Rousseau is warming up.
That'll mean dispatching one of the other South Africans, and Francois Pienaar will need to make that decision. That's Paul LeBlanc of Canada, who's also on the side, so interesting to see what South Africa have in fact done in that scrum. Draft to Christian Stewart. Steve Gray comes on the inside. Third Rugby World Cup for Steve Gray. Draft to Christian Stewart again. Assumed the fly half roll. Well, he has a chance for Canada now. Can they get that race through? That was Peter Hendricks, and the ball's still in play. Good recovery work from Joost van der Westhuizen, but that'll be a 5-meter scrum, one fancies. Well, it looks like Francois Pienaar has assumed the hooking role. He's gone into the hooking position for South Africa. A lot of the impetus of those scrums would have been taken away. That's Graf. The switch pass to him, looking to come back inside. Hard work there from Prano Otto. The replacement for Hannes Strydom. And what a sad day for Hannes Strydom after having performed so well in the lineouts. Good defensive work by South Africa. Peter Hendricks in the middle of it. Well, Chris Rousseau's services, the man who's just in picture, will probably not be needed. Francois Pienaar possibly enjoying his role at hooker. This is Andre Joubert.
Well, Francois Pienaar must certainly be a worried man at this stage, knowing that he may well have to face the rest of a World Cup tournament with only one recognised hooker in Chris Rousseau.
Long throw from Canada. Chiron meets the South African players. No letting up for Canada. They continue to fight for points in this particular match.
Canada will be short of men in their back line, as their captain Gareth Rees was also sent from the field, and one just wonders if South Africa won't exploit that opportunity.
Well, left in the line out then are Kobus Visser and Pernell Otter at lock. Richter and Pagel are the other two men. Well, a really historic match this in respect of the first meeting between the two countries. South Africa's first match in Rugby World Cup here at the Boer Erasmus Stadium, and sadly has turned into a little bit of a debacle. With a hoist, but it's gone too far.
Well, on that occasion, perhaps Johan Roux choosing the wrong option there. He knows that his men outside him have a lot more ability than their Canadian counterparts and should look to use them more.
Well, that was good play by Winston Stanley, and Canada will want to try and make something of this. They took a quick throw in at the line out. Graf on the outside to the ever-present Ian Gordon. He's really had a busy second half as Ian Gordon. Just 2 minutes of time left, and South Africa lead by 20 points to 0 against Canada. Another one, just a little bit of a hold-up for play. One of the Canadians is down on the field. The Canadian reserve bench has been sorely tested. Chris Mikulak, he's the man just getting warm. He was in picture a little bit earlier on. That's Colin McKenzie down. Well, he's a big tough man, is Colin McKenzie. He just stormed away and said, I'm fine. Like the rest of the Canadian team, they really want to finish this game here today. Solid scrum from South Africa. LaRue, South Africa looking to open up, and then Joubert's rubber kick through. Well, picked up by Scott Stewart. He's a lovely ball player, Scott Stewart.
Well, those far better options exercised by the Springbok backline there, taking the opportunity to run at their men. And really tonight they haven't tested the defence of this Canadian backline, and with a man short at fly half, perhaps now the opportunity to do so. With a minute or two remaining, South Africa will be looking to perhaps put at least one more try on the board.
Well, it looks like Colin McKenzie is going to leave the field, and that could well be a knee injury. He'll be replaced by number 19, Chris Mikulak. Well, Canada will be pleased with the fact that they've got so much possession, but South Africa equally pleased by their defensive exploits. They want Chris Mikulak onto the Canadian side. don't have enough players in the line-out. And Francois Pienaar is the man chosen to throw the ball in the line-out for South Africa. Good throw to Vissa and well taken. The run around from Henry LaRue. Not too much room through the middle.
Well, Francois Pienaar certainly a captain for all occasions, Gavin, slotting in at hooker, throwing the ball in at the lineouts, and that'll be encouraging for South Africa, knowing that they have a man of his ability to fill in.
Richter picks up well. There's space for South Africa on the outside. Venter. Well, that's the referee's final whistle then. South Africa winning this match by 20 points to 0. Just the solitary 3 points scored in the second half. Francois Pienaar will be pleased with the fact, Tony, that the match is finally won, and what a pity about the debacle.
Well, absolutely. The scoreline, the result for South Africa ensures them a semi-final place, a quarter-final place, I should say. They finished top of Pool A, but the loss of James Dalton, the way, in fact, this game turned out to be, was really not the way that it was intended to. It was meant to be a first encounter, a historical encounter, and certainly it will go down in history, noted for the 3 players that were sent off in the latter stages of the second half.
Well, the players have all is forgotten now as the players prepare to, in fact, swap jerseys. Quite a number of them have. And this is wonderful that the Canadians are now going to go on a lap of honour, not in terms of victory, but in thanks to the Port Elizabethans, the people from the Eastern Cape,